Hello and welcome to this short tutorial on using a combo box in a Visio diagram. To illustrate the principles, I've created this rather trivial little example. I've got an object, a square object, and I've got on top of it a combo box. The combo box has three options: red, white, and as you can see, blue. When I change the combo box, the color of the box changes. So how did I create this? Let's start with a blank diagram and I will show you. First step, let's create a box. And now I want to add a combo box. To do that, I need to be in the developer tab. If you don't see your developer tab, then from one of the other tabs you can find a white spot somewhere. Right mouse click, click customize the ribbon, and on the right hand side in the list of main tabs you'll find developer, and it's probably going to be unchecked. You'll need to check it and it will appear. So in developer tab, let's go into design mode, and then from the insert controls I select combo box, simply click on it, and Visio drops a combo box onto my diagram. I can now move that and position it up there. Let's zoom in a little bit so that we can better see what we're doing. While we're still in designer mode with the combo box selected, let's take a look at the properties of the combo box. You'll see that the name defaults to combo box 1. If I was dealing with several combo boxes and they had different purposes, I would probably come up with some naming convention that helped me identify those, but as we're only going to use one in this example, we'll just leave the default name. Okay, if I come out of design mode and click the drop down, we'll find that there's nothing in it. Not a surprise, we haven't actually added anything yet. So this is where I want red, white and blue. So how do I get them there? To do that, I need to enter a couple of lines of, actually 3 lines of code. So I'm going to go into Visual Basic. Now it's important to remember that the combo box has been embedded as an ActiveX control into the document. So to add values to the combo box, I need to find the place where the document opens and add those load instructions at that point. So I double click this document, and then in the drop down I'll find that I've already got combo box there, but it's a document that I want. So I double click that and it opens up the shell of a subroutine, which as you can see is a subroutine that handles the actions that occur on this document when the document is opened. So I need to add some values to my combo box, and the instruction to do that is add item. I'm going to add red, oops, capitalize that, white, and blue. Okay, so that will load red, white and blue into the combo box, but it'll only do it when the document opens. So if I was simply to return to the document and expect to find it here, I'd be out of luck. They're not here yet. What I have to do is I've got to save this document off, close it, and then reopen it so that the document goes back through its open procedure. So let's go and do that. I'm going to save it as my combo box tutorial. Close the diagram, And now when I reopen it, it knows that I've got some VBA code in there, so as a security measure it asks me to confirm that I'm okay with that, so I've got to enable the content. And here they are, red, white and blue. They don't do anything yet because I haven't added any actions. Now the action that I want them to take is to change the color of this object here. So I first need some code that's going to allow me to do that, and as anybody who's watched any of my other Visio tutorials knows, I'm not a VBA coder. So what I do is I let Visio write the code for me by recording a macro that does more or less what I want it to do, and then I tweak the macro to do exactly what I want to do. So back in the developer tab, record macro. Give it a name, and it's always good practice to add descriptions, but for this purpose I'm just going to skip that to save time. Now everything I do is going to be recorded, and what I'm going to do is very simple. I'm going to select an object and I'm going to put a fill color in there. This one's blue, and that's it. Finish recording. And back into the Visual Basic Editor to look at what we've got. You'll find this folder has been added for modules and new macros. Here it is, set box color. This is what I created. There's no way I could have written this from scratch. My VBA is nowhere near this good, but I can kind of make sense of what it's trying to do, and the important bit seems to be here where it's setting the RGB red, green, blue value, and that looks like it. So what I need to do now is I need to put some parameters in this subroutine so that I can call it and set the color to whatever values I want. So let's create 3 parameters. Yes. The capital G on that to be tidy. And within here I am going to need to work with a string, which I'm going to call theme guard, in line with the naming conventions that I already see here. So that's going to be a string, and then I'm going to set theme guard equal, and I'm going to get an error message when I move off this statement because I haven't completed it. There we go. We can ignore that. I'm going to set it essentially to be this string here, but I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to replace the values by my parameters, and I do that by concatenating them in there, making sure that I keep the commas in place. Red, green and blue. That should do the trick. I can now take my variable and oh, that was my fault, I missed that. Okay, now I can take my variable and replace that. Okay, so that's the code that I need to call. Now we need to look at where I call it from, and I go back to the objects section, and you remember that I found combo box here, so when I double click the combo box, it opens up the combo box change actions subroutine. So this is what's going to happen when the combo box value changes. Now, because I've got only 3 options, I can actually get away with a bit of sloppy coding, and I'm going to show you that. To save time, I'm just going to paste the code in, save you having to watch me type it. We've got 3 options, red, white and blue. So I can say something like this: if the value is set to red, then call the routine and set the color to red. Else, if it's white, call and set to white. Otherwise, we know it's got to be blue because it's not red and it's not white, so set the color to blue. And this will work, and we can see that if we go back to the main diagram. But we can only get away with that because we've got a small number of options. If we had, say, 20 options in this list, that would be one heck of an if then else statement. So we don't want to do that. Let's go back and look at a smoother way of doing it. And that smoother way is to use a case statement. And again, I'm just going to paste that in. Case statement says, take a look at the combo box 1 value. If it's red, then do this. If it's white, do this. If it's blue, do this. And there's always a catch-all, or at least I always had a catch-all. We know it's got to be red, white, and blue, right? Those are the only 3 options we gave it. But just in case, it's always good practice to have something that answers the question, well, what if it's not one of those? And this one, it actually sets it to white. Let's change that. Let's set this to black instead. So I'm never expecting to see this, but it's there just in case. And now if I go back, you'll see that everything still works. Okay, and that's it. Thank you for watching. You will find that I have some other videos out on YouTube covering similar kind of topics. I'm also producing a few more still in the pipeline, so keep looking back and see what I add. Once again, thank you for watching.